And here in Riyadh at the headquarters of the International Energy Forum, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Mr. Ibrahim Al Muhanna. He is a long-time senior advisor to the Saudi Arabian Oil Ministry. So thank you so much for taking the time. Now, you have been here for many, many years, and also, but you were here at the creation of the International Energy Forum. Just bring us back in history and tell us how important that has been.
Well, I am not only with the creation of the Secretariat, but in the start of the dialogue between producer and consumers in 1991. Before that, IEA and OPEC, they hate each other. They cannot talk to each other. They cannot sit together in one room. But after the start of 1990 and then until 91, they start talking, dialogue. It's called dialogue, but not cooperation. And the first one in 91, the first conference, ministerial one, was held in Paris and followed by many of them. The second important one was in Saudi Arabia, the 7th ministerial meeting in 2000. There, the King Abdullah, that time, introduced the idea of creating the Secretariat. The Secretariat, so he wanted to formalize the meeting, formalize the relationship between producers and consumers, and instead of it's a loose relationship. So he proposed this creation of secretariats, and he said Saudi Arabia willing to host and help creation of the secretariat. After 2 years of negotiations with different countries, we settled for the bylaw of the secretariat, the organization charters, and start working afterward. And the first was the helmet was a Norwegian minister who led it in a nice way, and then the changing both the president of the company as well as the leading people in it. Another major activities in the Secretariat is the creation of JODI, Joint Information Initiative. This is because the information in the oil market by oil companies, by everybody, was by international organization, was very loose. There is absent of definitions, absent of unified format. There is no exchange of ideas, nothing like that. But after IEF secretariats and JODI, on the other hand, we were right now in a new way of unifying and helping and working together in the information and data and unifying it, which is very good, absolutely good for the stability of international market, for predictabilities, and for investments in the oil industries. Right now, you are bringing producers, consumers, and oil companies and analysts together in one room and discussing issues which is with the common interest.
Now, of course, at that time, though, this was very visionary at that time, because in a way, had this not happened, well, I mean, who knows what would have happened in the meantime? But do you think at that time it was absolutely essential that it was done?
It's very important, because after the crisis in 1990, the crisis when the Iraqi invaded Kuwait, the market, international oil market, lost something about 5 million barrels a day. So we need stability, because without stability, the global economy will be hurt. So producers and consumers start talking, how can we work together, instead of fragmentation and conflict. So that is the start of it. And then it's continue, not only growing and getting strength and new ideas. So right now is how many? 17 years since it was established. I think the achievement which has done is great. And which indicate it is right now was a necessarily organization for international oil market and its stability and its future.
Where do you see the role of the International Energy Forum now? Tell me just how important you see it right now when we're looking at a very volatile time in the market.
Well, it's very important because we live in one world, integrated world, globalized world. I mean, what happened in any country will affect the others. And energy in general, and oil in particular, is very important for the health of the world, especially global economies and the well-being of individual prosperities and so on. So it's very important for oil ministers as well as others to meet and discuss common interest, how to solve these problems, if there is a problems, how to find new ideas to move forward. I think it has, help stabilizing the oil market. In the year 2008, when the prices of oil reached 147, when the oil reached 47, it was really a problem for the global economy. Oil producers and consumers met in Jeddah, with King Abdullah was there, the Prime Minister of UK was there, the Vice Premier of China was there, as well as ministers from all countries, head of oil companies, head of international organizations. As a result of that, the oil prices later on start to moderate and to go down and minimize the damage to global economy.
Now let's talk just a little bit about the situation at the moment in the last while. That historic OPEC, non-OPEC agreement seems to be holding in place, and the consensus really that it's actually working now. Give me your views on that.
Well, it's working, and it's already working, and everybody was willing to make it work, and the commitment for cutting production was there, and compliance within OPEC is more than 90%. Non-OPEC compliance is increasing, and this is a new alliance between OPEC and non-OPEC, and we are sure about the future of this year for the stability of the oil market.
And of course, Saudi Arabia holding the presidency of OPEC this year, again, always been a key player in the market here. But, you know, there's a tremendous drive and there's a tremendous cooperation, I think, now with, of course, the ministers from Saudi and indeed for everywhere. This is essential, isn't it? And this is partly the role of the IEF as well.
Yeah, of course. Saudi Arabia has the largest reserve in the world. It's the largest oil exporters, the second largest producers, and has the only country almost has meaningful spare capacities. And beside that, that's in the oil side. On the other side, it has a policy which is clear and consistent and pushing for cooperation for the benefit of human being and humankind. And they are, in Saudi Arabia, we are having, you know, a close look at the futures. We care about the futures. It's not a question of temporary issues. No, for us it's a long-term strategy.
Just very quickly on the outlooks now, many different agencies and different analysts and that have different outlooks, but bringing these three outlooks together here, OPEC, IEA and IEF, how important is that also to help inform perhaps, you know, the analysis of the industry, the media, I mean, indeed, all of the companies too, they're in part of this as well.
This is very important. Information and data is the base for decision making. Decision making by politicians, head of states, oil ministers, but equally important by investors, oil companies, banks, and so on. When you have really good information, you can make enlightened decisions for the future, and that means reflecting the stability for global economy and oil market.
Super. We'll leave it there. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have to go.
I need you for one quick second. The one thing you didn't say now, just separate, I want you have to say the words International Energy Forum. You kept saying it. So just one last question, but just say the role of the International Energy Forum is to continue this dialogue and blah, blah, blah. But I need you to say the words.
International Energy Forum.
Or IEF.
IEF.
Yeah, but that was the bit you're missing. Okay, so just very quickly, how important would you say now is the role of the IEF?
IEF is very important. International Energy Agency is very important.
Forum. Oh, okay. International Energy. Okay, here we go again. So just give me a feel for some of the work that's going on in the IEF in terms of bringing all the people together and how important and how vital it is for the energy industry.
IEF, International Energy Forum, is very important. Right now it's becoming more and more one of the most important organizations in terms of energy, and right now it's with so many countries, producers and consumers, part of International Energy Forum.